Hello everyone, this is Saurabh, and today we will learn how to create an application that makes use of a database in Microsoft Visual Studio. So in this video we will be creating a new database. We will be adding a table to the database. We will be adding a data set to the project, and then finally what we will be doing is adding a control to the form that allows the user to interact with the database. So let's start by creating a new database in Microsoft Visual Studio. So for that we'll have to create a project first. Let's just set the name of the project to test database creation and do OK. To add a new database to this project, we will have to go to the project first. We'll have to do add new item, and we will have to go to service-based database. Here we can change the name of the database. I'll make it database test and do an add. When you do an add, you will see a data source configuration wizard. Over here we can do a cancel because our database is an empty database, so it does not make sense to add a data set to it. So let's just do a cancel over here. If you see in the Solution Explorer, you will see a database test.mdf file, so a new database has been added to your project. So the second step would be to add a table to the database. We can add a table to this database by simply double clicking on this .mdf file, and you'll see a Server Explorer would come up. Over here you can see all the objects that we can add to a database. We have tables, views, procedures, and so forth. Over here we are interested in creating a table, so let's just create a table. We'll have to do a right click on the table and to add new table. On doing add new table, you will see a table designer would come up. In this table designer, will have the name of the columns. You can see a default column has already been created for you, that is the ID column. If you see the key symbol just before this means that this is a primary key column. You can also see the data type of this column, which is int. You can also see an allow null checkbox over here. So since this is a primary key, we will leave it as it is. We can add a new column by just clicking over here. So the first column could be the first name column. The data type, well, the data type can be n varchar 50. We will remove the allow null so that no one can have a null first name. And then we can go to the last name. Again, make it varchar 50, remove the allow null. Next column could be the phone number, which we can again make in varchar 50, remove the allow null. And the last column could be the salary column, which we can make as money. And again, we can remove the allow null checkbox. So if you can see in your TSQL tab, you can see the name of the table, which is table. We can change the name of the table. Let's make it employee. So once you have made all these changes, you can write these changes to the database by clicking on the update icon over here and do an update database. Over here you can see if the update version is successful or not. It is successful. You can always change the primary key of a table by selecting the column, doing a right click and setting it as primary key. You can always delete a column by using delete over here. Change the properties from over here. So let's just make ID as primary key. We can also make it as identity key by going to the identity specification property and making the is identity property to true. So we have created a database and we have also added a table to the database. Let's now enter some data to this table, the employee table, by going to the Server Explorer, selecting the table and doing a show table data. Over here you can see so far there is no data in the table, so it's blank. We can always enter a new data. We can give our first name as maybe Joe, and then you can see a red icon that is coming up. It indicates that a new data has been entered to the column, but it has not been saved yet. So it would go away once you step off the record. Let's enter a phone number and let's enter the salary. Let's give a second name, a phone number, and a salary. Let's give third, first name, last name, and a phone number, and again a salary. So we have inserted some data to the employee table. We can save this data by going to file and doing a save all. So far we have created a database, we have created an employee table in the database, and also we have inserted a few records in the employee table. To create a new data set, we will have to go to project, we have to do add new item, and over here select the data and then select the data set. You can change the name of the dataset, test dataset, then do an add. So you can see a new dataset test.xst file will come up in your Solution Explorer. So this dataset has been added to your project. You can configure the dataset over here. So you can open up the Server Explorer. You can drag your table that you want to associate with the dataset onto the designer window. Save it by doing save all. So now to create a control on a form so that the user can interact with the database, we'll have to create a data bound control, which is a user interface control that is connected to the data source. For that, we'll have to go to the view, we'll have to go to the other windows, and then the data sources. So this opens up the data source window. Over here you can see your employee table. If you click on the employee table, you can see there are two types of data out controls that are already there, which are data grid view and the details. So let's just use data grid view first. When you select the data grid view, drag this employee data set to your form 1. You'll see a grid view will come up in your form. Over here you can also see a navigator. So let's just run and see what we have built so far. So I'll go to the start and do a start over here. So this is the form that comes up when you do a run. You can see all the data of your table onto the form. You can always change the data and save it by using this icon, the save data icon. So this will write the data onto your database. You can always navigate to the next record by using these icons. Go to first, go to last. You can add a record, you can delete a record. So in this video we saw how we can create a database, how we can create a table, how we can add a data set to the project and use a data vault control so that the user can interact with the database.